Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hello, everybody. Glad you're here today.
So excited to have you. Today we are providing the culmination of our lead generation series that we've been running here recently. If you look back at our YouTube channel, you can find replays where we talk about creating different types of lead magnets. So we did audio and video lead magnets, PDF lead magnets, and then of course there was an additional training on campaigns, which is the drip sequence that you want to send out to somebody when they opt in. And today we're tying it all together with a beautiful bow using landing pages. And today we're going to be talking about how you can create landing pages that convert, how you can do this simply, and some best practices for you. And then of course, as always, we do have space for live Q&A throughout the call. And then we do have two people who signed up for a live work review today. So go ahead and head into the chat. Let us know where in the world you're from and what you're working on right now. We're always excited to learn more about you, about your business, and of course, what your exciting projects are. We're always really inspired by this community. So welcome. This is a call that we host every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We weren't live last week because we were at a convention, but you'll find us basically every other week of the year here, unless there's a major holiday here in the US. Hello, Texas, Vermont, California, St. Louis. Thrilled to have you here. Keep it coming in, you guys. We are, again, just so thrilled to have you. We've got some slides that we're going to share today. I'm also going to be doing a little bit of light demonstration inside of the AttractWell platform. And then, of course, at the close of this training, we will move on to work with the folks who RSVP'd to work together one-on-one here today. Don't be shy as we're going through the training here today. If any thoughts, questions, ideas come up for you, if it's something that you would like for us to directly address, please make sure that those go into the Q&A box here on Zoom, because the chat can get a little lively and it can be a little hard to keep up with sometimes. So definitely make sure that you place those questions in there. I see we've got even more folks from all over the world joining in. We're so thrilled to have you here today. So Greg and I are going to pop out a video so we can get into slides here, get some good recording quality for the YouTube replay. So yeah, why don't you guys go ahead, turn off any distractions you may have. You may want to, if you really want to follow along with what we're doing today, you may choose to open up your AttractWell account to follow along, but you will of course have this available for a replay. So as promised today, we're talking about landing pages that will convert people from your website to new leads for your business, culmination of our lead generation series. So we're going to get into what it takes to create a landing page that converts to new leads and clients, how we can set up a landing page or a page in AttractWell to offer your lead magnet, and then tying everything together so that you can complete your funnel and share it to get leads for your business. So if you are watching this by chance as a replay in the future on YouTube, go to attractwell.com/office hours so you can join all these amazing people on this live call and ask questions and interact with us directly. You'll be the first to know about our upcoming topics, as well as be the first to receive any resources that we give away, and we often do. If you'd like to work together live on one of these calls, as two people have signed up to do today, you can go to attractwell.com/work review to reserve your own spot on one of our 2 p.m. Eastern time calls. We typically begin those live sessions to work one-on-one at about 2:30, so about halfway through the hour. And if you need a hand, if you're working on something and you would just really rather delegate, you can go to attractwell.com/concierge to learn about our team and request a quote for your project. So if you aren't a brick and mortar, what do you consider to be the front door to your business? Have you thought about this before? If you have a brick and mortar, it's obvious where the front door is. But if you are operating virtually, what do you figure the front door might be? A lot of us assume that it's maybe the homepage on our website. You know, it's ourname.com and it's the first place you go if someone Googles your name. But that's not how most people discover us, is it? But it's also not our social media profiles. See, I like to think about, if we're going to use the house analogy, and your business is conducted inside the house, then you've got pathways to your front door, right? Your homepage on your website is particularly good for providing a pathway and even curb appeal to the house of your business, right? Your social media is a fantastic sort of breadcrumb trail leading in the direction of the home for your business and its front door. But the front door for a business, if we think about it, it's actually the place where people choose to step inside into the operations of what you do, or at least they are on the fence, or they are close to being on the fence for deciding whether or not they're going to work with you. So once they're inside the front door, they're on your list, right? They are a lead. They are someone who is a potential new customer for your business. So from there, once they're inside, they could have a discovery call with you or engage in any other kind of conversion event that you may have set up in your business. They may also purchase something from you that you're selling, or of course, they can become your next client, whether that be in a program that's group or one-on-one. So the front door to your business, by extension, is going to be the front door to your funnel, because someone is not a lead for your business in the digital sense. They're not a lead for your business until they've opted in. They've walked in the front door and said, hey, I want to see what you have here. Right? Are we following? Does that make sense? Give me a yes in the chat. For someone to be a lead for your business, they need to take themselves to the front door, let themselves in and say, I want to know what's going on here. And so that means that your funnel is the front door, and the front door to your funnel is a landing page. Now, quick note, because we do have, names of different features that you use inside of AttractWell. So I want to make sure we're super clear on what I mean by landing pages. So landing page is basically an industry term for where a visitor lands. Right? So maybe they read a blog post and they want that free ebook you're giving away. They click a link, they land on a page where it's offered. They're on social media, they click the link in bio, they land on a page where you're offering a free training, right? Landing page is where someone lands, where they have the opportunity to exchange their contact information with you for some free thing that you're giving away. Now, in AttractWell, you can create this landing page thing using a feature that we have aptly named landing pages, which is really just a simplified page builder that is just a form on a page, usually with one or more photos. That's very, very simple to set up. So we have a landing pages feature, but you can also create a landing page, using industry parlance, using website pages. So pages, what this is called in AttractWell, where you can have a lead form on the page or as a pop-up, or you could use a section of an existing web page where you can offer your free thing, have the front door to your funnel showing up in more than one place. Now, quick note, you can feature your offer on your homepage, on your about page, on other pages on your website, but it's always going to be a good idea to have a single dedicated page, whether that be built on a page or a landing page, that is for your funnel, right? So if you're offering a free guide, a free PDF guide, and you've got that on the homepage of your website, fantastic, absolutely offer it there. But you want to be able to also just send people directly to the free thing from a blog post, for instance, right? So definitely do consider, even if you plan to include the offer for your free thing on an existing page on your website, do consider creating a dedicated landing page or page to offer your freebie. Okay, so the landing page, again, this is in industry parlance, not AttractWell feature speak. Your landing page is where people land from wherever they come from, whatever the traffic source is. They watch a video on YouTube, they click the link in the description. They read a blog post, they click the link at the end. Maybe you or someone that you have partnered with sends out an email to a list, they click a link, they go take advantage of an offer, so on and so forth. You speak at an event, you rattle off a name, you say link in bio on your social, right? Or you even, in some cases, would have paid traffic like Facebook ads, YouTube ads, etc. You're sending them to a landing page, okay? It is the front door, and everything else here to the right is the stuff that happens after they put in their name and email, okay? So let's look at this from another perspective, sort of top-down perspective here. So your landing page is on your website, right? That's where somebody enters their information in exchange for a free thing that you offer. It's the top of your funnel, front door to this funnel, right? Then they receive a campaign where we drip a series of emails or texts to your new lead over time, introduce yourself, right? Provide some more context. And then that lead has the opportunity to participate in some kind of conversion event. That conversion event can be a one-on-one call with you. They could click a link and opt into a secondary series where they're being sold something. A lot of different options here, depends on your business. And then finally, once they participate in that conversion event, they decide to buy and they become your new client. So that's how your funnel works. And that's how we are sort of driving movement down based on their activity, providing them the opportunity to take the lead and move themselves ahead. So what's in a landing page? First, copy. That's words, right? Words on a page, right? Copy that offers, AKA sells, your lead magnet. And we really do need to sell your lead magnet. If we present it in a way that's just kind of, oh, I wrote a white paper, it's about this, that's not compelling. We want to really be able to make sure that we're providing clarity on who this thing is written for. If you wrote a white paper on on balancing hormones and you aren't being specific on whether it's for male or female bodies, right? Or for different outcomes, who is it for? What does it do? Then it's not going to be compelling enough for someone to put in their information, right? So make sure that that we're selling what it is that we created as a lead magnet, that we are being clear in who this is for, and of course, what it'll do for them. And then you need to come up with some kind of creative. So this can be an image, it could be a quick video as well that depicts the lead magnet or the benefits of the lead magnet. And then an optional or helpful thing that you can do, and this is something that if you use the landing pages feature in AttractWell, it can actually do this for you. It is helpful in some cases, or actually usually most cases, if I'm being thorough here, most cases it's going to be helpful to have a standalone page that sells a free thing, for there to be some kind of blurb, usually at the bottom of the page, that talks a little bit about you. Because if they're finding this because they clicked an ad or something like that, then there may not be enough context for them to build trust so that they can actually provide you with their contact information. So behind the scenes, your landing page, we just talked about what's on the front of a landing page, but on the back end of a landing page, it's also going to tag your leads. So the people who opt in are going to be tagged with a tag of your choosing for list segmentation. And then this is also going to apply the campaign that you created, and that was in last week's video, and that campaign delivers your lead magnet. And then finally, it redirects that lead to a confirmation page after they have filled out the form on the landing page, just to let them know, hey, go check your email, right? Now let's talk about how to create a landing page. First thing we're going to do is gather our copy. So what we're going to say, just make sure you're really clear on who your lead magnet is for and what it's going to do for them. Then we want to gather our images or a video that you plan to use. And then finally, we will create the landing page or page in AttractWell. Because we've already written it, we will be just pasting and reformatting our copy. And of course, swapping out the template or adding in the creative, however it is that you are going about building. And then finally, in the settings of the landing page or the page, you'll attach the campaign for your funnel, the tag that you want to apply to those leads, and then of course, set it up so that they're redirected to that confirmation page. Now, best practices for creating a landing page, if you haven't gotten it so far, you got to be really clear on what it is that they're getting, and don't be afraid to pitch this thing. You worked hard to create it. It's going to give them a benefit. And quite often it is more difficult to get someone to say yes to hearing from you regularly than it is to get somebody to say yes to buying something. Make sure you really put that information out there in a way that just speaks to the person that it's for. Make sure when you're creating your copy, and feel free to use AI if you want to, but it's really important that they hear your voice. So use it maybe just to get an idea, sort of framework of how you might position something, but reword it so that it sounds like you, right? Make it sound like you're speaking directly to the person who arrived there. They're your new best friend. They don't know that you're best friends yet, but they know that you're about to be. That's the kind of language we want to use there. Don't be afraid, again, to get to the point and call out the problem. Acknowledge the problem that they have right now, that your freebie solves, or that what your ultimate offer, what you are selling, solves, and call out the pain of what it might cost for them to not get the problem solved. And then ask yourself, if once you've gotten it all written out, ask yourself, would I read this? Would I opt into this? And definitely feel free, if you have access to somebody who's representational of your ideal client, to have them take a look too and say, hey, does this sound like something you would buy? And if it's something they would buy, it's something they would opt in to get for free. All right, so remember that with all of these different things that we're talking about here, we do have in-depth training. So you don't just have to sit through the 30 minutes of training that we do on these calls on a weekly basis to get this. We have targeted, guided, step-by-step, in-depth training, templates, and a lot more in the AttractWell Launch Challenge. If you have an AttractWell account, you can go in and go to your settings under My Account, click the AttractWell Launch Challenge, and opt into that, and you'll get access to the entire course. If you don't know what I mean by conversion event, I go into that in great detail in there. So definitely make sure that you check that out. It is sequential and focuses on the 4 main systems that you want to master to run your business. All right, so let's go and make some landing pages together. So I'm going to switch my share over to the Jane account, and we're going to get this show on the road. Okay, so once we're here, we have 2 options. Let's play around with this a little bit. So come into the chat and let me know what is your lead magnet? What are you offering? Who is it for? What does it do for them? If you've been following along with this series, then you've probably created an audio or video lead magnet, or you've created a PDF. Awesome, Peggy. So we've got 5 tips for lowering blood sugar. Who's it for? Oh, I love it. Oh, you guys are so good. Okay, so first let's go into landing pages. All right, Peggy, since I got yours first here. All right, so we've got 5 diet tips for lowering blood sugar. It's for men 35 to 60 years old. Peggy, tell me about the problem that they can name. So I'm going to go create a landing page. I'm going to use this simple short form, although you do have other really great templates here that you can use. This one, for example, if you really want to kind of talk through like this 3-part form here. This is an example of one that you can use. You're going to swap out the images where you can say something, and then when they click the button, it'll pop them down here. Well, actually, it'll pop them all the way down to the bottom, right? So this is pretty cool. And then once this is actually made, if you've allowed that setting, then your My Story and photo is actually going to show up beneath all of this copy. Right, so that's one option. I'm going to just keep it super simple with this one up here at the top. Okay, Peggy. All right, so tired of taking meds, tired of being overweight. So let's, the first thing that I want to encourage you to do is just get your copy out of the way. So I'm just going to put sick and tired of being sick and tired. Okay, and then we're going to say, get my 5 tips to lowering, what did it go? For lowering blood sugar. And kick the meds for good. So this is just one option. One thing that you can do here, I'm just going to go over here to replace. I'm going to go add design from Canva. Since this is square, I'm just going to type in logo as the preset. I'll allow the cookie. I'm not logged in. Let me see if it'll let me log in and then we could go use it. Okay, perfect. So one of the things that we could do here is simply just grab an image that is evocative of what we're talking about. So we'll put prescription in the search bar. We'll look up photos. And we will set this image background, and I want to adjust it just a little bit. So I'm going to double click, drag it. There we go. And I'll send that to AttractWell. Okay, so I've got my copy here. You can, of course, modify this to your liking. If I want to make this just a touch smaller, maybe I want it to be bold, maybe I want the color to be red, right? You can add more copy here. It's totally up to you. Down here, we want to modify the button, get my tips, right? So this is essentially what it takes to modify one of our landing pages. Now, again, this is a landing page in AttractWell. Now, if I save this, this is going to be, see, 5 tips to lower blood sugar. When I view this, you can actually see if we use the landing page feature that your bio that you put together in My Story and Photo, it's actually going to show up underneath. So you don't actually have to worry about coming up with bio copy because it's already here, which is pretty awesome. So it could be as simple as this. You could choose to use one of the more complicated landing page forms, which is like one of these two, where you would have multiple pictures. And this I find to be a little bit more effective if you really want to sell something. So sick and tired of being sick and tired could go here with that picture. Peggy could say here as well, you know, are you tired of taking meds? Or maybe here it's tired of taking meds, tired of being overweight. You can address this with food, and I promise you won't eat like a rabbit. Come in here and we'll get you to where you want to go, right? So that's kind of how you could narrate that here. So that's landing pages. Let me go ahead and complete the landing page. If we set this up, I'll go back over to the one that I just created. And we do need to go into the settings. So what we would do here is we would go find our campaign that you would have created previously. And that is, if you check our YouTube channel, you can learn about campaigns that convert. This would be the 5 blood sugar tips is the tag I'll add here. And then we want to send them to, excuse me, to a confirmation page. Right, then we hit done, we save, and this would complete your funnel if this is the tool that you want to use, right? So we'll go view it, and you can see that that is there. Another thing that you might consider doing here as well, if we go over here to advanced options, you can change the title bar text, which is something that you typically would do in pages, but you can do that here in landing pages. And then of course you can choose whether or not your footer shows and what kind of notifications you get when you get new leads. Now let's go over to pages and I'll show you how you can create a landing page using pages. So we'll go to create page. And we're going to go, I'm just going to go blank here and I'm going to build it with section templates. Peggy, your question here, do you think a longer landing page is better for getting someone to become customers? So that's a sales page, right? For a landing page, it kind of depends on the nature of what it is. If you're offering something that's really super self-explanatory and of high value to somebody, then to your ideal person, they don't really need a lot of context or like being sold. I think in your particular case, because you are talking about getting men to change their diets, that's just a really difficult thing to do. You might want to use a longer landing page because the lead magnet that you have created could potentially sound or feel like work to your potential lead, which even if we're very smart, we are naturally inclined toward being a little lazy as humans. So you might actually want to pitch with a longer page, just so that people really get the value of taking advantage of this free thing. If we have more than one offer, do we have more than one landing page? Mark, that is 100% correct. Yes. Okay, so what we'll do here is very similar to what we already did, right? So I already have that photo that I created in Canva when I created the landing page. So we can just swap this guy out here. And exactly as we did before, we can put in right here, sick and tired of being sick. I cannot type today and tired. Right? You put the more information in here, you say whatever it is that you want to say. Now, by default, this is set up to give you a pop-up. That's why this button is here. So this button, we would put in #lead, and that's going to give us a pop-up form, which you can see right here. Once we've put in #lead in the button box, when we click here, it's going to pop this up, and I'll show you how to modify this in just a bit. But you also have the option, instead of using a button, to put in brackets the word form. And when we do that, and we go over here to settings, leads, and we say show it on the page, now we can actually have everything on the page just like we would if it was a landing page, right? So this is something that you could do as well. You could create an additional field. Perhaps you want to put something in here where you talk about maybe the 3 pillars that you'll talk about. You will want to get rid of these buttons because we really only want one button to do anything on the page. So unlink them and then delete them. There we go. So you could, again, modify this copy. You're really pitching the thing. And then down at the bottom, you could have another image, get my thing now. And then what you could do if you wanted to pop them back up here to the form, we just need to name this section, and I'm going to name it form. And then I'm going to put that form name with a hashtag down here at the bottom. So it'll jump up to the top. So what that'll look like is somebody puts in, maybe they scroll all the way down the page, they see everything that you're pitching, and they're like, oh, okay, I want to do this. They click the button and it pops them up here to the top where they can put in their information. So the hashtag that I just showed you in the button, there's only a couple of things that these hashtags can do. Now you can go in here and actually put a URL here to send them to a completely different page. But because what we're doing with a landing page, the entire purpose of a landing page, or a squeeze page is another name for it, is to provide them with one option. One option. They can only do one thing on this page. And that thing is to put their name and email in, right? So that means that everything you put on this page, if you're going to have buttons, and if you go long on this page, you're going to want to have a button that brings them back up to the form, right? And you can only have one form on a page. So I put hashtag form in here because that is the name that I've given to this section, right? Section jump to name right there. The other things that that hashtag can do would be if we put in lead, right? Like you saw in the beginning, if it's hashtag lead, that's going to give a pop-up of the lead form whose settings you can modify here. And of course, if you are doing that, you would have to choose this in a pop-up if you're using hashtag lead. And then finally, the other thing that the hashtag can do in the URL field is to pop up your contact information. So if I put in contact right here, then when somebody's down here at the bottom of the page and they click contact, it's going to pop up your contact information, right? But again, I wouldn't even use contact on a page like this because the literal only thing we want somebody to do is to put in their name and email so that they're your lead. Everything else can happen after they've qualified themselves as a lead and they're on your list, right? So that's the gist. I'll show you a couple of long form pages that I think are particularly great for offering free stuff. So if we go to create page, this Jenna template homepage is a favorite of mine for offering I would say more hefty freebies. So maybe if it's a workshop or a webinar style call or something like that, and you're really wanting to position it as a big thing. I think this is important as well. It really depends if your lead magnet is intended to be like a really kind of light entry point, kind of like the freebies and stuff you see attached to a lot of blog posts, like here's my ebook with self-care tips or something like that, right? That's a pretty lightweight thing that you don't really need to have a whole lot of copy to sell. But if it's a 45-minute workshop where you're going to show them these 5 things or whatever, it's going to be helpful for you to really pitch it, because now we're really asking them to not just give us their contact info, but to give us their time, right? So if that is a situation that you're in, if you're positioning calls, which are more of a conversion event than they are a freebie, you should be positioning, if you give away calls like consults as a means to get new clients, that's not what I want you to offer in your funnel as the top of your funnel. It needs to be something that's downloadable, something that doesn't take your personal time. You can have a conversion event that includes a call with you. And maybe when you offer that, you position it on a page like this one, right? So when you have your setup however you want it on a page, you are of course going to name it. You're going to give it the title bar text, which is going to show up here, just like how you see this ad page, AttractWell or Jane Jones. That's going to show up in the title bar text. And then of course the link path. Because this is a landing page, highly recommend that you create something in Canva that you can use as a sharing image, because if you ever link to this on social media or even through some messaging or email services, that an image would populate of this offer. So this is something that you can create. We actually have the size of this. It's called a custom share image in our tech tips cheat sheet, which you can find in another recording on our YouTube channel. I want to say it's 1200 by 630 is the dimension. So if you go over here and you go 1200 and 630, then you can actually create something that goes there that'll show up nicely. Of course, whatever verbiage you want to include when something is shared, you'll put that here as well. You can choose whether or not this is something that is searchable or if it's something that's only available via a link. Typically, if it's the top of your funnel, you want this to be available everywhere. Finally, to complete this page, you can put in a lead capture headline. You can modify the copy of your button here, and then you can modify what kind of information you're getting from your lead. Add your tags. So there's our blood sugar tips. And then of course, your campaign. And then your confirmation page would need to be attached down here to send them to after they opt in. You do have the ability to go and look at what it will look like on different devices. Definitely recommend that you do that. In this particular case, we've got a lead pop-up that looks like this, pretty great. And then of course you can look at it on mobile and tablet devices as well. All right, so that's essentially it. When you've got your lead magnet is made, you know what your campaign is. It's just a matter of bringing it all together, and then of course getting out there and sharing. And the way to do that is to just hit view after you've saved, of course, and then you'll have the link that you can go out into the world and share, like this landing page here. Erica, great question. Same confirmation page for all opt-ins. Most of the time, especially where it's, you've signed up for my newsletter or you've signed up to get my free download or something like that. If it is something, like I mentioned, where you might have a longer page that you're kind of using to sell it. So think like a webinar type thing, or a call with you, if that's a conversion event that you're using. In that particular case, you might consider making a dedicated confirmation page. 100% if you're selling something on the other side of a sales page where somebody has entered their info and payment info, I would consider making a dedicated confirmation page for that. Okay, so we had a couple questions here in Q&A, Denise, that I want to get to for you. And then we do have a couple of live reviews that are scheduled here today as well. And Sonia, I've got some from you and Sherry Lee here. So I need to know how to have multiple landing pages since I'm using my AttractWell site for more than one business that are not related. So the way that you would go about doing this is you can create multiple pages that are for different purposes. You can have different footers that you can use. And of course, you can choose whether or not you show the header on a page that you're creating. So for instance, on a page like this one, if it is for your main business, it's fine for this logo and this menu to be right here. But if you're creating a page that is really for a very sort of different audience, then what you do is you go under settings. On the page settings here, you would maybe use a different footer, or you can create a custom header using a page and have that kind of serve as your menu and header for those other pages or for that other landing page that you want to use. So you can do it, you just have to modify the header and footer accordingly so that shows up branded the way you want it to. Okay, Sonia says, make sure I'm getting this in order. I created my landing page prior to creating my website. So my only page is a landing page. Did this about 3 weeks ago, but haven't gotten more than a lead. How can we attract people to our landing page to request the freebie? So this is something, if you haven't gotten into the launch challenge yet, Sonia, you're going to find a fair amount of info on this there. I really recommend a multi-pronged approach of being actively out in the world, networking, putting yourself out there, communicating and connecting with people, alongside more passive strategies that work to get you leads long-term, like content marketing. It's work. Content marketing is work, but it's the kind of work that can pay you like an investment does, like residually growing over time. It's worthwhile investment for your brand because it establishes you as an authority figure. And yes, while at the beginning, the work feels like this and the results feel like this, over time, if you're consistent with the work, it really starts to look like this. So, definitely begin diligently creating content for your brand. Use your blog and AttractWell. You can use that for blog posts, for publicizing YouTube videos that you create, as well as podcast episodes if you're creating those. So find a channel of content creation and really dig into it. And then in your content channels where you're showing up, be pointing back to that landing page, pointing back to that landing page. And so that's really what you want to do. You want to be paying it forward with little bits of free or interesting, entertaining, whatever kind of info out in the world, and then just be showing people the front door, right? We're leading them to our front door. And so what it sounds like is we need to do more to get more people led toward the door, because not everybody wants to walk right now. It's hot outside. It is here. But for the people who, who are your people, they're going to run to your door no matter the temperature. So you have to just make sure you're really putting the volume of visibility with your content out there, so that enough of the right people find you and see you. But always be alongside those passive strategies, always be actively out there and finding opportunities to put yourself out there in front of other people's audiences, giving talks, things like that. Okay, second, should I have a page or section on my website just to enter them into my community or newsletter? Thinking, for example, if I meet someone at a coffee shop and they're interested in what I do, should I ask them if they want to receive communication from me or include them in my newsletter so we can keep in touch? 1,000,000% yes, exactly yes, absolutely. So create a landing page, just a simple landing page that opts them into your newsletter. If you have a vault in AttractWell, where you're building a community, you can even have that landing page, add them to the vault. If you're not there quite yet, maybe you're using a Facebook group, have the campaign that you send out to them after they opt in. Say, I'm so happy to meet you. I'm excited to get to know you better. Here's the link to the Facebook group, right? Or here's where the other places you can find me or whatever. But just remember that in that instance, and really in so many others, unless you're somebody who already has a following in the tens of thousands on social media, your prerogative in doing everything that we're doing and that we're talking about is to create opportunities for conversation. Because until you're at that point where you've got the volume of people that you can no longer manage communications, that you need to start behaving like a bulk person, but we're not bulk people when we're still needing to convert on a one-on-one basis, right? So yeah, just make sure to keep it simple. Let your tools in AttractWell do what you would do manually anyway, and just let them, show up in your stead in those instances to just save you some time. But yeah, absolutely. And plus that puts them into your contact manager, maybe with a follow-up plan attached via an automation that reminds you when to follow up with them. Put them into your contact manager and you didn't even have to do anything. You just said, here you go, fill out this thing. Here's this page on my website, fill it out, and they'll do it for you. Even better. Is there a training on how to do the confirmation page, or is there a template? Sherry Lee, 100%. It is in the launch challenge, both of those things. Can I use what you just did as a pop-up on my website? Yes. So that hashtag lead will create a pop-up, and on any page on your website, that pop-up can appear. You can only have one on a page. So just make sure that if you're wanting to use a pop-up on an existing page on your site, that it's not maybe competing with another one. You may need to swap it out with a link to a landing page. Okay, so Mark, this thing you're asking, does this work? It is 85 degrees in New York City, and while we have AC in other rooms, this is an old building. The electrical is very fragile, so I can't have one in this tiny office that I have here, and it's actually working pretty well. Thanks for asking. It's so hot here. Okay, Greg, on the other hand, is sitting in the 60s today in Fargo.
Come to the Northland.
I know. We're talking about driving up to Maine just to get away from this, but I think that's what everybody else is doing. Maybe we'll come to Fargo. Okay, so oh God, don't even talk to me about Florida right now. I love y'all, but no. Okay, so we have 2 reviews scheduled. I've got Erica and Sonia here. Erica, let me go ahead and bring you out here real quick, and then Sonia, I'll bring you. Erica, nice to catch up. Let's talk about what you need help with.
Hi.
Hey.
I just need help. I'm getting exposure through podcast guests and things like that. And people are coming to my homepage. I can see, through the AttractWell system that people are coming to my homepage, but they're not opting in for my freebies or clicking through my website. So I just need to figure out how to get that front door in the right spot for them to be able to take advantage of my offers. And obviously, some of what you already said today is going to be super helpful, but I would love for you to take a look at my page. There it is.
This looks so good. Oh, look at all that PR. Look at you. Oh my goodness. I love it. Okay. I would definitely have something pop up by now. Do you have a pop-up on this page?
I don't have a pop-up. I am torn about my opinion about pop-ups being super annoying. So
yeah, I would. So you've got a lot of meat. There's a lot of meat here. I would think about a thing, like what is one thing that you have that you can offer that would just be like a obvious no-brainer, that's easy, that's that they could just take advantage of, and then just have it pop up like right about here, so we're maybe 30% down the page, 30-40% down the page, have it pop up and be like, hey sis, I see you scrolling, would you be interested in whatever, right? Like I have a thing, hey, here's a free thing, use it, please use it, because you have a long page, and there's a lot of reading here. And what we want to do is we actually have a very narrow window of time for when somebody lands on the homepage, for somebody to decide what they're going to do and if they're going to keep reading. And because we have the menu all out here, and there's a lot that we have to process as soon as we land here. So if we can provide her an easy, clear, hey, I get it. This is all really overwhelming right now, but here's a simple thing that you could start doing. This is one of the, this is one of the biggest things that made a difference for me. And you can get it here. Go ahead and grab it. Like I would 100% be offering a pop-up here because
so I have a 10 test to make sure that you ask your doctor about. That's performed pretty well despite all of the all the rest of that stuff there. So my freebies are, you just scrolled past them right there. So those have their own page as well. So they're at the very bottom of my home page. Yeah, there's that top 10 checklist.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They're hiding underneath a whole lot of words. Oh, look at this. This is good. This is good. This is good. Yeah. So these are hiding too far down. One of them needs to pop up is really, that's my take, because there's a lot here to process. But ideally you want to have, when they land here, either a clear visual, get this free thing somewhere here, or after they scroll just a little bit, I want to get past this section and maybe into this. That's going to be, again, about 30% down the page. Then you can pop up and say, hey, is this something that would help you? And since it's performed well before, that's the one that you want to use. You've actually got, some proof.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I think that they're not going to opt in because they're not making it that far down the page.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have the menu at the top with my free resources, and then I have them at the bottom, and I'm going to do the pop-up at 30% of the page. Those free resources don't have their own individual pages. Can you take a look at that for me? So I was trying to keep the verbiage to a minimum there.
Okay. Yeah.
And I used that one, but a little bit different than how you were showing earlier, where I have all three of my.
Yeah. So what I would consider doing is maybe editing down the volume of the copy, just a little bit. Because you are going to be sending them over to a page where they can get more of this information from you. It's really cute though.
I mean,
it's really nice. Did Tiffany do this? This looks like a Tiffany design.
I'm trying to think what part she did and what part I did with her help. So yes.
Awesome.
Yes, she did. So so this is a Facebook page that it actually goes to my Facebook group. So that's if you'll scroll just a little bit to the challenge right there. So when they click that, I collect their information and then I send them to my Facebook group to opt in. I know that's ideally, I would like it to be a vault. I'd like it to be a class or a vault on AttractWell, but I haven't converted all of the content from my Facebook group onto the platform. So eventually that would be the goal. But right now, they just have to go to my Facebook group. So is there any way in the meantime that I can make that easier, less painful?
Where's the pain?
Well, I just think it's a pain point for people. Like, they've given me their name and now I'm like, okay, yes, I've got your information. Now go over here and do this other thing.
Yeah. So then, if that's the hurdle, then you want to sell what's on the other side of it. So this doesn't really sell the Facebook group. So you're going to want to sell the Facebook group. So you're going to get this and this and this, and it's valued at this. And then you get this Facebook group where you're going to have access to me, and that's worth this much. So if you want better results that, it requires a little bit of hoop jumping, you really want to sell what's on the other side of the hoop.
Okay. Great.
Awesome. I'm so happy for you. It's been a while since I've heard from you, and you've clearly been doing a lot of great work. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for coming out. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience, Sonia. I'm going to bring you out to chat. Looking forward to chatting with you. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, good, because I'm using a new microphone and I wasn't sure. Um, okay, so yeah, so since last time I messaged you about it, oh, I forgot her, Julie, I think. She's been helping me with create. So I thought I was going to do my about page first, but then upon talking to her, I found a friend who had a podcast, a page about her podcast. I was like, ooh, I think I could start there. So we started there. However, I have some questions on it. So I don't know if you can log in as me or. Okay.
I'm already there. So we're going to the podcast page.
Okay. Yes. Go to the podcast page. That image, I want to make it smaller. The Canva has a lot of white space, and I don't know if I can edit it here or I have to go back into.
I see what we're doing. So what I would actually recommend is that you build this section just a little bit differently by, so what I would do is this color that you see here, make that the color of the section background. So when we hit this pencil here, and we can actually just go ahead and do that, but it's going to look weird because of this blue. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. So if I go and I grab that color, and that becomes the section background color. Well, actually, because I'm highlighting it, it's not. Here, let me show colors. Move this over. There we go. So we want this to be your section background color. And then what you would do is you would take this image, this sort of layered photos. You would save this image with a transparent background. And have obviously this blue down here, but you would have this be a transparent background. And then you would be able to layer it over this. The other thing that you could potentially do here.
It's one whole image.
So are you using this as, oh, wait a second. Here's
It's a
an
one whole
idea.
image from Canva
Got
that
you.
I already created.
Yeah. So what if we just change the background image of the section to that photo? Did you try that? And then we'll just delete this one here. Where did it go? And then we just need to make it show up like that.
Might be a little.
Yeah, and we'll just need to center it. Now, I don't normally recommend doing this just because we'll see what it looks like on the different, it might not look good on mobile, for instance, but we'll see.
Oh,
Yep.
I see.
Yeah, but there are some creative ways to do this. Let me go see what it looks like if we, oh, that's not it. If we were to go, oops, sorry, I need to go to the section settings here. If we were to go and center this, then obviously that would be helpful. But honestly, what I would recommend doing is to potentially create a background image. So use the blog banner image in Canva that has just this blue and tan color. Make that the background image of this section.
Oh, okay.
Have this be, these three be an image with a transparent background.
Okay.
That you would pop into this section. And make nice and large. So now it's going to be mobile responsive. And then you, at the very bottom, you would align the text to the very bottom of the section. You would have this confidence, resourcefulness, self-advocacy, or you could even just create a separate section with the same blue color background with this verbiage there.
Okay. Yeah, because I wanted to do a GIF. I wanted that to be like rolling or moving or something, the confidence, resourcefulness, self-advocacy.
I see. Yeah. So you could export that as a GIF, just make sure that it has this same blue color, and you could center that GIF in like so basically what you would do, and here I'm going to refresh this because I don't want to save any of these weird changes I just made to your site.
It's not active, don't worry.
But basically you would go in and you would create an additional section here for like a header, make the background this same blue color. That one.
Yeah.
And then you would, instead of this text, you would just pop in. But you are essentially in Canva, you're making 3 different photos here, right? You've got the background tan and blue. That's going to be the background image for this top one. You've got this that is going to have no background, that's going to float as an image inside the section. And then you would have, and I would in the background one, I would make it a little shorter because this is going to carry that confidence,
Perfect.
resourcefulness, that thing
Perfect.
there.
Perfect.
Is this
Awesome.
making sense?
Yeah, that's making
Okay.
sense. And
Okay.
then, so down at the very bottom, so a couple of things. I'm going to start adding my episodes here.
Excellent.
Right? Now, my question is, I have a couple questions. So my first one is, every time I have a new episode, how is this going to drag? Because I don't want to have to redo all of this every week I'm adding a new episode.
Yep. So if you use one of these, oh, why is it not? I just want to zoom. Okay, here we go. So recent blog posts, 4 column.
Oh.
And this is going to show each one of these. And I don't think, Greg, all of these are hyperlinked, right? So if we don't want a button, we don't have to have button, right? So yeah, you could even
you can just delete it.
Yeah. So you can just delete the button. I don't think the
Which is
button's
going to be the
necessary.
episode number 37 button though, right?
Oh, well, actually, so the images that you're using, so this is going to show your featured images. You can actually see what this looks like.
Okay.
If we go here and scroll to the bottom, it's important that you have featured images on your, yeah, so you would have to have blog posts in here. Like, do you have any blog posts?
No.
Oh, okay. So once you start creating blog posts, it will populate here.
I'm a bit confused because, for example, like any of the episodes, I have a Buzzsprout account where it like if you click on it, so down at the bottom is a copy of, not the copy, but what it's about. So that I could use, right?
Absolutely. You could use this to create a blog post, and you can even embed, I know the Apple Podcast Player, you can actually embed on a page in AttractWell. So you could actually have a page that is very much like this one, that is on your AttractWell account, actually on your website.
Oh, how do I do that? Because I'm trying to find out what's the easiest way for me to continuously have the newest episode added on my page.
It is going to be an extra step. So just whenever you are going into Buzzsprout and creating your stuff here, just basically take a copy of your show notes and go and create a new blog post on AttractWell. You're going to want to use a featured image, and we do have templates for that in some of our trainings. So, just use a featured image, just use a template in Canva, just, it's slightly different each time. But you're going to have that. And then I don't know how to embed the Buzzsprout player. You could see if, check out Buzzsprout's, support articles and see if there's a way to embed this situation right here onto your site. But you can absolutely, I think I've demonstrated this before. We haven't done a dedicated training on this yet, but it's in the pipeline 100%. But if you go into, I know for certain, if you go into Apple Podcasts, because I did demonstrate this, you can, they have like an option off to the side, one of the options is to embed.
Okay. Does that mean, so if you go back to my site, because now I'm a bit confused, because these are the images of each of the different episodes.
Got you. Okay.
So do I leave this? Do I continue this track, or do I do the recent blog post?
I would do the blog post, because what you would be doing is, instead of creating the square image here, you're going to be using, or you could use the square image. There's nothing wrong with you using the square image. Use this image as the featured image of your blog post, and then pop your show notes into it. And then that's automatically going to show up here. So if I, for instance, we already have these in your system, I'll just show you how that would work.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so if we go into blog posts, and we'll go right post, and this one is called, I'm gonna copy that and make that the title.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna grab our show notes. Okay. I would break this apart just a little bit, so it's not
Mhm.
quite as
Mhm.
chunky. Obviously you could do something like that. Our featured image, actually need to, let me go over here to view this page. And I'll copy this. Okay. So, okay, so our featured image is this one.
Mhm.
And we'll want to, if we go publish, and then we go and we refresh this page over here.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, that's easier than
Yeah.
what I did. Now,
Yeah. And
how
then
can
what
I-
you would
Yes.
also want to make sure that you do is probably up here at, or somewhere in here. Maybe we pop in, we'll say listen now,
Mhm.
and then you would embed the player, right? And then you've got the
Mhm.
rest of it, and that's basically it.
So I wouldn't do a button on that just to say, listen here.
No, you can actually, so if you use an embed, so here, I'll actually go and put this on. You're not going to see this because I'm actually in Apple Podcasts on my computer, but when it
Okay.
opens up, I'll grab the embed and I'll actually show you what it'll look like.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that was easier than what I was trying to do.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay,
and so
so
every
here,
time I Mhm.
I'll actually, let me show you this real quick. So if we go to podcasts, right here next to
Okay.
follow,
Mhm.
I want to click here. And then, oh, that's not it. Oh,
No,
what was
it's the
it?
episode right there.
It's
That
the
one.
episode one, that's right. So if I go to that episode specifically, I did this before.
Copy link.
That's a copy link, but that's not it. Okay, share
Oh.
episode. No, okay, there's if you Google it, there's a way. It's free. I've done it before. I just don't remember how.
Okay.
But you're basically going to be obtaining the embed code. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from Apple. Spotify might have this. Some of the other platforms might have it. Buzzsprout might even have it. So definitely check theirs. But essentially all you're going to be doing is going into your where you're creating your blog post,
Mhm.
and you're going to embed a code. And essentially all that means, it's not technical at all. You're just going to pretend like you're adding a video, and it's going to give you a link or code option. Use that, and then paste the code that you get from the podcast provider right here. And then that's
Oh.
what it's just going to drop it right in there.
Huh.
And so
Okay.
it'll behave just like this does, where they can play it right here on the page. The player might look differently, right? If it's not from Buzzsprout, but it would essentially be, it would be very similar. And this part right down here, actually, what you want to do is, let me save this real quick. You do want to use excerpts, which I haven't touched on just yet, but because you have this down at the bottom, probably of all of your, here it is, at the bottom of all of your episodes, you're going to want to go over to your blog posts and then into your settings for blog posts. And then you can actually add a post footer. And so that's going to show up at the bottom of every post and you don't have to add it yourself. So let me see, personalization options. Here we go. So blog, individual post footer. So if we paste that in, this is also a great place to include a link to, lead magnets and things like that.
Oh, super.
Yeah, now if we go back here and we scroll down, you can see the images there, the player would be here, and then this is here as well.
Perfect. Perfect.
And
every
people can
time
leave comments too.
Yeah, I love that. And every time I add a new one, it's gonna move everything to the right, obviously.
Correct. It's always going to show the most recent ones. And what we have are the recent 4 or 3. or 2. I think actually you could have any of those settings. But one last thing, because I do want to make sure that you know about this if you're going to be creating blog posts, because you have a digest of blog posts on your website. Do make sure that under advanced options, you show the excerpt, and then here, let me actually just grab a little bit from the show notes here. Okay. And I actually think I want to pop that image in here as well, because I want it to look really cute. I'm going to put this, that's not the one.
Yeah, that's not the one.
Where did she go? Here we go, right here. Okay. So if I move this over, I want to display this in line. Or actually, I'm going to center it. Anyway, it's something that you can do. It's something you choose not to do. But if we go to save changes here, and this is why I actually kind of like using, if you look at some of our blog branding trainings, I recommend using a much larger and wider featured image for your blog post as opposed to square, because it's going to give you a nicer look scrolling down the page. So I'll show you really one of the better examples, and I think I use hers in the blog training, where you can see here's an image, here's an excerpt, here's an image, here's an excerpt, and they're all about the same size, right? You know, they all look fairly similar. So, and this is just so that when somebody goes to your blog digest page, that they've got sort of, you know, a nice streamlined experience of like scrolling through, right?
What size is that picture? Do you know?
That is, I have it in, if you go to the blog branding training on our YouTube, there's a template for it. So you can actually just get the template and use it.
Awesome. Okay. I have a lot to work on.
Well, hopefully that's going to make it a lot easier for you.
Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming out. Okay, let me see. How long are people generally on a website before clicking off? I don't know the numbers right offhand to rattle, but it's less than a minute. It's generally speaking, on average, people are on a website for under a minute before they decide to stay. It's usually, I would say that the decision window is about 25 seconds. That would be, I think, fairly close to accurate. Regarding podcasts, is there a specific service that you would recommend to use in conjunction with AttractWell? Robert, there's not a specific one. I see a lot of folks who are newer to podcasting using Buzzsprout. That seems like a pretty solid option for a lot of people. It really just, it's kind of a matter of personal preference. Because we don't host and distribute podcast content ourselves with AttractWell, it's going to be a matter of you embedding a code regardless. So I would just go with the one that you particularly like. And then of course, everything else you're just going to be doing on AttractWell. So that is my take on that. What about using the link feature? Yeah, you can. I think, Erica, you might have been talking about linking to that page. You 100% can. It would be better for your website and your SEO for you to link to your blog post from the Buzzsprout page in this instance, because Buzzsprout has typically a higher ranking authority than your website probably does on Google. And so that's going to boost the credibility of your website because you're being pointed to from a site with higher credibility. We can't have the most recent podcast episode automatically pop up. Again, that's because we don't host and distribute. So your feed of podcasts isn't something that we're hosting. Therefore, we can't just have that appear. It would be a manual process, just the same as if you would release a YouTube video. You would need to go and grab the link for that content and put it in here. But what I would recommend that you do, Sonia, once you kind of get it set up just the way that you like it, definitely watch the blog branding training. Use a saved reply to construct your blog posts with your podcast every week, because that's going to streamline how you work. And essentially all you're doing is copying, pasting, swapping image, pasting the embed code, and done, right? You can streamline that if you have that as a template that you're working from. And definitely do look forward to a more dedicated podcast training that is in the works. promise, in the next few weeks. So excited that you guys came out with so many amazing questions today. So inspired by the work that you're doing. We will be back here next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. In the meantime, be sure to check out our Facebook group, check out the replays on YouTube, get in the launch challenge if you haven't already, because it really is a full soup to nuts blueprint for running your business. And of course, if you have requests for topics for us to cover, let us know. And we hope to see you on a future live call. Take care, everybody.